There you go.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Thank you.
I don't know why we're not. There we go.
Mine wasn't on. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the regular board meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, April 16th, 2019. It is 9:10 or 9:11. Excuse the tardiness. We were at a very special grand reopening of our library. Congratulations, Maria, on a beautiful project. It's well worth the 11 minutes we're late here. So we will start with closed session, but Madam Clerk, are there any additions to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chairman, no additions.
County Council, Scott, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Will you please read into the items for the record our closed session?
Certainly. This morning we have 3 items on the closed session agenda. Item 1, request for closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. It's the conference with labor negotiators. The employee organizations up for discussions are all units. Item 2 on the closed session agenda is pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D4, anticipated litigation, and that's deciding whether to initiate litigation. There's 1 potential case up for discussion. And then the 3rd item is pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, and that's conference with real property negotiators. The property addresses are designated on the agenda. There's a few of them. Agency negotiators, Eric Fleming, the CAO. Negotiating party is Shimmick Baker, LLC. Under negotiation are price, terms, and conditions of sale, exchange, or lease. Any public comment on those items is
Are
appropriate?
there any public comment on these items? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment. We'll adjourn into closed session. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We're just came out of closed session. We're about 11 minutes behind today. Again, we started 11 minutes late, but that was due to a great grand reopening of our library after the tenant improvement project. If you haven't seen that, go as soon as you leave here and go look at it. It's a beautiful addition for our community. Like we always say, we want to be the county that you want to live, work, and play, but why would you want to live, work, and play in a place with no knowledge or no beauty? So libraries and arts are very important to us here. All right. County Council, are there any items to report on out of closed session?
There's no reportable action, Mr. Chairman, from closed session.
Thank you. And we'll open and close this meeting in memory. I think Supervisor Wheeler, you have some.
Yes, I have two very special people. The first one is Stan Craig. I see Matt walk right. Oh, there he is. Stan Craig worked for Cal Fire, CDF. I'm gonna call it. That's when I first met him 30 years ago, probably. And I don't know. Did he get cancer or something? Or wow, he was really young. He retired, but I mean, he was a great guy. He did a lot of good stuff for us. And tried to help us get new fire trucks back then, and he passed away last week, I guess, a week and a half ago. I just couldn't believe it when I seen that. So, and the other was Mike Kanatsu. He was actually born and raised in Fresno, Clovis, but he moved to North Fork about 30 years ago. And any of you remember Arthur's Toys in Fresno? Mm-hmm. His wife was, her parents was the owners of that. So when they moved up in the mountains, when I was still, in 1958, they lived up there. But anyway, his daughter played on my soccer team from second grade to high school, and he got cancer too, lung cancer, and he was gone like in 6 weeks, so it was really sad. But anyway, those two guys they're going to be well missed, so thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And then I also wanted to open and close in memory of Christian Lopez, who was the 11-year-old that was killed in the car accident on Avenue 12, close to 34 and a half, as well as the Troy's Raqueño, the 17-year-old driver of the other car. Our thoughts and prayers go out to their families in this difficult time. It's hard for to deal with death ever, but when it's a child, it's got to be even worse. And so try to not be distracted while driving, and stay safe out there, everybody. Are there any others? All right. We'll have our invocation today. Is Charles here? I don't see Charles here. So David, will you do the invocation? And Candy, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today, please? It's hard to say not Miss Tally. We're in trouble here.
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we recognize your good and great gifts that you pour out upon us. The beautiful sunrise this morning, the rain last night. We just thank you for all the bounty that brings to our county, and that continues to prosper us. Every good gift and every perfect gift comes from you, and we can always count on your goodness to us. We thank you for your love to us and your watch care over all of us. We ask for those young men and women now who are on foreign fields of battle, that you might strengthen and encourage them and let them know in their heart that they're loved at home. And we thank you for their sacrifice. We thank you for those who've given the ultimate sacrifice of their lives for our freedom. We pray that our Constitution and freedom might continue to stand tall in the world that is so constrained and not free, and that the flag might wave as a beacon of hope for the whole world. We ask for your wisdom in our deliberations this morning, And we thank you for, again, for your presence in our lives. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Attention, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Got to tell you, I love hearing the baby cry and little boy run away right here.
Yeah.
It's just it brings so much more life into this this room and excitement. Yeah, it's like home. Really like my home. But you know, those are good reminders of why we do the things that we do, and all the people that are in here today that have put in so much to the community. It's to make it better and make it safe for kids to run around and babies to cry. Yeah. All right. Public comment.
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under the public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record.
Cell phones are a completely different thing. They bring the meeting down. Just kidding.
Good morning, Chairman and Board. I'm Tracy Kennedy, your Madera County Treasurer Tax Collector. And as is customary, I'm here to report on our collection period. So for April 10th, the second installment, we were all done all through by Friday. Now that's the fastest ever, right? For 170 million is what we ended up collecting from, when the bills went out till now. That's the fastest ever. So I really attribute that to and thank administration for giving us the resources that we need and the well-trained staff that I have, and I'm really proud of them. I'm super proud of them. I would like to draw your attention on my little cheat sheet there to two rows, the e-check row. So e-checks, as you know, we have started about 2 years ago. And the beauty of e-checks is that you can go online, use your checkbook, you go ahead and put the amount in, there's an add to cart, you can pay multiple tax bills, and it posts in real time. So you can see your receipt, you get a copy of your receipt. It's a real nice feature, and it's free. Okay, credit cards are, they have a third-party convenience fee. So we have received 200 more e-check transactions this time than we did in December. So that is very good. Also, on the very, very bottom, there were our wires that we received. Typically, the only wire we receive would be PG&E, which is part of this, but we also received another 20 wires to the tune of 3.2 million that comes through the Treasury. So that was kind of a new emerging way to pay your taxes. So I'd also like to thank IT. They put a little ribbon on the county's website so that you could say, it says pay your taxes, click here. So that was just the last week or so. So that was really helpful. So that way people didn't have to try to navigate the website and go to pay your taxes, this and that. And so that was really good. And also in the lobby, Joseph for directing traffic, because we had a lot of traffic, and Zach's for providing security. So we have security the last week and a half before collection. On Wednesday, which was the 10th, at 4:45, we still had 10 people in the lobby and a baby. We had a baby in there too. Must have belonged to somebody. So, in all, since the beginning of the fiscal year, we've collected 184.5 million, but 170 million is current secured alone.
Great.
Wow.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Accolades?
Well done. Tracy, what a great
Applause?
job you
Nothing?
did.
Really?
Tracy.
You did a good job taking everybody's money. That's why there's no applause.
Yeah.
If you weren't as good, then people would be much happier.
Then they'd be much happier. Well, you guys want me to do my job, right?
We
So I should tell them, don't blame me.
But we don't, we tell them to blame you.
Oh, okay. I can take it. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Mr. Rob.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Robert Mansfield from your Planning Department.
However, I am here at this moment in a different capacity. For the last 14 and a half some odd years, I have been a volunteer with the National Park Service, permanently stationed at Manzanar National Historic Site. For those who do not know what or where that is, Manzanar is one of the 10 relocation facilities that were established immediately after the U.S. entry into World War II. It is located on what is now US 395 between Lone Pine and Independence, about 50 miles south of Bishop. It has been a historic site since, I believe, the late 90s, when Caltrans had handed it over to the Park Service. Since the site's closure, official closure in 1945, there had been a band of interfaith ministers coming to the site on an annual basis to essentially pay honor to those who had been sent to this facility. In 1969, an organization separate from the Park Service made it official as an official annual event and called it the annual pilgrimage. This year, on April 27th, will be the 50th annual official pilgrimage. I am here to invite everyone who finds themselves with time and desire to come and participate. The site is open from 9 in the morning and until about 5:30 on that Saturday. It will allow people to come and look at the Interpretive Center, which has artifacts and recreations of what the site was like during the time period of the early to mid 1940s. There is a partial reconstruction of one of the residential blocks. It's called Block 14, so people can wander in and see what the residential units were like and what the site in general would look like. The site also has various cleared areas that were basically parks, little green areas, if you will, that were created by the internees that were there, open for viewing, and there will be docents available to answer any questions at various points. As a matter of fact, about a week and a half ago, they just cleared the Children's Village area to go and participate and look at. The main event actually starts at 11:30 with the UCLA Taiko drummers, and then speakers starting about noon, ending with an interfaith service at the cemetery site, as well as Oban-style dancing, followed lastly by park ranger guided tours. So again, I'm here to invite anyone, all individuals who wish to, on April 27th.
Is that, you gotta go around Bakersfield and up?
Basic route, at least the route that I take, is 99 down to 58, right around Bakersfield.
Right.
Cross over to Tehachapi to where it meets up with 395 and back up. So it is a bit of a drive, about 4.5, 5 hours, depending on, as I say, how fast and how low you fly, as it were. But in my opinion, and a little biased since I've been doing this for almost 15 years now, it is well worth it. It is a good educational tool for those who may not have had a lot of that in your history classes, to go and see exactly what it was like during that time period.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. My name is Shannon Mueller, and I'm the Director of Cooperative Extension in Fresno and Madera counties. I'm here this morning because after 31 years with Extension and 6 years as Director, I'll be retiring on Thursday. And I really want to thank you for your support over the years. When I started in 2013, you helped support our struggling 4-H and Master Gardener programs, and we were able to bring back advisors to serve our ag and livestock industries. And as you know, I'm very proud we were also able to bring back a nutrition program to Madera County to serve the low-income children and families. So I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate all you've done for me, and I hope that you will continue to support Cooperative Extension under the new leadership that should be coming in July.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
When we brought her on, that year it was so nice to have that back in our program again, because, we had to shut it down during the recession, and the past leader kind of run it in the ground, so she did a great job, so thank you so much, so.
Good morning. I'm Anna Wattenbarger, and I'm here representing the Madera County Master Gardener Group, and I have a few buddies who have joined me here this morning. And I, too, am here to thank you very much for your support. You probably are well aware that the Madera County Master Gardeners are a group of volunteers. We're trained by the University of California Cooperative Extension Service, and our purpose is to assist home gardeners with any issues, problems they may have with their own gardens. And we do this in a variety of ways. Among our community activities, we have a booth as well as entries in the floral exhibits at the Madera Fair and the display gardens at the fair. We participate in the Pomegranate Festival. I know they've changed their name, but anyway, you know what I mean. We provide help at various nurseries with garden advice days at Peters Brothers Nursery, at the Rancho's, what's the name of their nursery? Fernwood Nursery, yes, and up in Oakhurst at the Western Sierra Nursery, and various other outreach programs. Our largest project is a 2-acre demonstration garden. It feels like 10 acres though, doesn't it? We've been developing at the community college on Avenue 12. And this has been a real project of love for most of us, and it's coming along really, really well. And that's the location where we offer a large variety of classes for the public in such things as rose pruning, vegetable gardening, fruit growing, perennials, iris, Japanese maple tree culture, all kinds of free classes for the public. So the main reason that I'm here today is to thank you for your support. Many people ask us about the name of our garden. It's called the Three Sisters Garden. And that actually refers to the cooperative nature of the corn, the beans, and the squash. The corn provides a trellis for the beans to grow up. The squash shades the ground to conserve the moisture, so the three of them really get along really well. And our Master Gardener group kind of feels the same way, because we have the support of the Cooperative Extension, who trains us and supports us, the Community College on Avenue 12, who provides us with this wonderful property to hold our demonstration garden, and the Madera County supervisors by supporting us through the Cooperative Extension. So I just want to thank you very much. And also, I have a couple of invitations for you. Next Wednesday is our biannual, semi-annual, twice a year, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Coffee in the Garden. We'd love to have you come out to the college between 10 and 11:30. We'll have coffee and little snacks. And then Saturday, the 27th, is our annual garden tour. It probably will start for most of you at our Three Sisters Garden, where we'll have a garden shop and plant sale, as well as tours. Then we have 3 home gardens in the Madera Ranchos area, and the McCaffrey Ivy model homes out in Riverstone. They've done a wonderful job with low water use gardening, lots of hardscaping, very nicely done. And the most of the other gardens also are water-wise, which we are definitely promoting. So I'd like to hand these things out to you. I also have included schedule, what we've been up to last year and this year, so you can see we're a busy group, and we appreciate your
You
support.
guys do a great job.
Yeah, and not just busy in this group. I look out and see, I know when we talked about, this is a place to live, work, and play, make it beautiful and have the knowledge, and all of you do so much for that through making the outside of our homes beautiful, the arts, and I know a lot with the library. So thank you all for all of your efforts on everything.
And it's really good exercise.
Yeah, and the river too. This is much, I like these kinds of meetings, Anna, not the river ones. I like Madera County when we can be on the same, or on the same team working.
That's right.
Thank you, Brett.
All right, is there any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment portion. Tom, do you have a bunch of questions on consent calendar?
B, E, F, H, and J.
All right, so we'll take the consent calendar after, we're going to go to
Okay, that's a good
the
idea.
7A, yeah.
Okay.
So,
There's a couple of them.
does anybody else have any questions on the consent calendar? Or, all right, so we'll start with 7A.
7A, Social Services Department, presentation of proclamation naming April 2019 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. Whereas each year of the month of April is nationally recognized as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month, and whereas the Madera County Department of Social Services received over 2,926 referrals involving alleged maltreatment of children in 2018, and whereas the Madera County Department of Social Services remains committed to working with our community partners to protect and promote the safety and well-being of children and families to achieve family permanence, stability, and self-reliance. And whereas every child deserves the security of a loving and nurturing home. And whereas the Madera County Department of Social Services will continue its efforts to partner with the community to provide preventative child abuse programs and to increase public awareness of child abuse. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Madera, State of California, does hereby proclaim April 2019 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in Madera County.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. I'm Deborah Martinez, Director of Social Services for Madera. I am very pleased to be up here and acknowledging your proclamation of Child Abuse Prevention Month. April is a very special month, and we make sure to partner very closely throughout the year with our Child Abuse Prevention Council. But it's really nice to have this opportunity to come before you united in how we usually perform our duties. So with me is Maria Salazar, Executive Director for the Prevention Council, who is presenting her team. Okay. And her son Michael is very special.
Hi, Michael.
Hello, everyone. Well,
Hi, Michael.
my son Michael, Felix, you want to say hello? Yes, we're going to have fun later. We're going to do Rad Kids class. So my name is Maria Salazar with Madera County Child Abuse Prevention Council. With me is my team, Tamika Hill. Tamika is one of our directors at large, and then my assistant, Anna Marie Sheriff. So Tamika will be passing out a stack of pamphlets to the council members, and then Anna Marie will go ahead and have copies for anybody else that's interested on this table. So what I really want to say is thank you for your time. This April is Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, and I would love to just take about maybe 8 hours of your time, but I only have maybe 3 minutes. So what I would have loved to talk about is child abuse, its harmful influences, economics, and how to improve positive outcomes, but I'm really only going to focus on only one thing, which is just to briefly cover a story on the cost of child abuse. In your packet, you have Meet Anna. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Anna's story. So briefly covering the first part of Anna's story, Anna had dreams to own a grocery store someday. She would spend time playing with her little grocery toys and the little cashier register. But starting at around 10 years old, she started being abused by the boyfriend of her mother. Her mother had found out about this and asked Anna to please keep it a secret because she was scared of issues of housing, money, and those things. Sadly, it happens when one of the parents know and keep it hidden because of fear of other things. But finally, a teacher suspected something. She suspected something and got Anna the help. So this is when we actually go into the potential cost that somebody like Anna or people with similar experiences may go through, and that is that the teacher called child welfare, which determined that Anna would be safer in a foster care, while her mother received needed support so that they could be reunified. An average per victim cost for every child welfare cost is about $11,057, and all these numbers are based on 2018 California report. Next on, during the abuse and after, Anna was frequently absent from school and needed special education classes to help her learn. This is something that's not uncommon in Madera County either. A lot of times, a lot of our kids end up going to independent study, MCIA, Pioneer, Enterprise, so that's not uncommon. The average per victim cost for special education is about $12,917. Then feeling shame and anger, Anna acted out of breaking the law and ending up in juvenile detention. Again, not very uncommon. If you look at the teenagers, the adolescent teens that come into the doors of the building for juvenile probation, and you see their background cases, which the officers usually have access to that, they can see that there's numerous amounts of CPS reports and other things going on relating to trauma, usually relating to child maltreatment. The average cost is about $7,653 per victim for criminal justice costs. So now Anna's struggling to create a stable life for her and her own child. At this time, it mentions that she attends the center. This center in this story is the Safe and Sound Center. We do have certain centers here. We have us, MC CAPC. There's Victim Services from CAPMC. There's First Five. There's other areas here in Madera, and even there's resources within the school systems. She attended that center to build her support network and improve parenting abilities in care of her son. She moves on then to get support that she needs. Anna goes to therapy. She also sees doctors regularly for her cost of health issues. This cost amounts to about $53,618.
Michael, you want to come sit up here with me? Everybody, want to come sit up here? Come sit up here?
Luckily, Anna's juvenile record was sealed, as it was hard enough for her to secure a job given her learning disability and medical requirements. Though she has work, she dreamed of owning a store, it's a little hard to read because it's small, remains unrealized, and its earning potential is diminished. The average cost of dollars lost in decreased productivity over a victim's lifetime is estimated at about $183,301. So what you do is you add all these numbers and they come up to a total cost of $268,544 just per that one victim. That's the average in 2018 dollars per survivor for their lifetime cost that gets incurred to the community as a result of maltreatment. So I really wanted to share this with you because I think it's important to really connect the heart with the mind, with your brain. Because the heart tells us this is sad, it must be stopped, it has to be prevented. But the brain also tells us that this is very costly, it's negatively affecting our economics in our communities, and the systems must be improved. I really wanted to share that with you, and thank you for your time, of course. And if you did want to learn more about this information, you have a stack of copies here with Anna Marie about our 8th annual Child Abuse Prevention Council coming up this Friday and our activities for this April. Thank you for your time. Is there any questions you have? Usually I say goodbye and then you have questions. Sorry.
It's just amazing what it does cost, stuff like this that happens, and it happens every day, all the time, so it's sickening. So thank you for the hard work.
What are the things that need to be changed, or how can we help? I know just bringing awareness to it is important, but what can we do? What are there signs that we should be on the lookout for as a community? How do we stop it?
So just about, when we talked about those 2,900 referrals that we received in 2018, about 63% of that had to do with neglect, because that is abuse. right? When you're not meeting that child's needs, it just escalates from there. So a lot of the issue is just understanding where we're at with our substance abuse and our mental health. And the people that are mandated reporters are our central referral service. So those are our teachers. So they are being trained in mandated reporting. But, you know, when you're at the cash register, if you're at the bank, and if you see something inappropriate, it's really important to call it out. A lot of times, it's those incidental conversations that you can start to learn who's who and maybe make a report. So we are always available to take a report. We have an outstanding number of referrals in comparison to communities our size. And we're not real sure why that is. But if I do a comparison between us and a sister county, we've got about 20% more referrals coming to us. And we seem to have either we're recognizing issues faster than other communities, or we have some real issues that we need to address. So it's a concern. So when you're saying what can we do, is stay informed, learn what the signs are of child abuse and neglect, report anytime you're feeling like this does not seem right. That girlfriend is acting too subservient to the boyfriend, and it could be vice versa. But those kind of situations is where you start seeing that, because then she has a pregnancy and then there is the impact to the child. I had the pleasure of going to an HBO premiere of a movie called Foster last Tuesday night in Sacramento. They showed it at the Old Crest, and they brought together lots of legislators and a lot of our child welfare directors across the state. And this movie, and I don't generally promote any HBO, but May 7th, the movie's called Foster. We spoke about Anna Marie today, and it's moving to hear the story. But when you see Foster, it's a documentary. You're going to follow children that you will never forget. And there is not a chance that you are not going to cry at some point in the movie. I don't care who you are. It's incredibly moving because it's real. So some people don't understand, what are we doing in child welfare? You're going to see the lawyers, the judges. You're going to see the social workers and what they're trying to balance. And then what the real impact is on the child, right? Because we have to follow our rules, and then there's the impact on the children and the youth and what they've experienced and the trauma that they experience before they come into our system, much less the system's trauma, because you pull a child from a family, that's trauma too. Yeah. So I really would recommend that you watch the movie on May 7th, HBO. It's called Foster. It's going to be incredibly important to get the word out. I know I'm going to get phone calls on this movie about how we do what we do in Madera based on it. In terms of what we're doing today, besides giving us information, we are sending up the memorial flag,
We're gonna do the flag right now,
of
so
the
yeah.
children that have passed to violence.
So we'll do that, and we'll present the proclamation outside.
Okay.
So we'll do that. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to just say that, you know, where I live, the geese, they lay their nests and they guard those nests. And I've walked up on a couple of them, and the mothers and fathers, they just come at you like you are in the wrong territory, and especially when they hatch. Mm-hmm. And I thought, when that happened, I thought about, you know, even an animal protects its child better than a lot of people, and some people just don't have the sense of a goose.
Well,
And it's sad to me, because they're the most vulnerable member of our society. We need to, you know, pay attention to that.
I appreciate your words. A lot of times that they were never parented themselves. A lot of this is generational. So it's not one generation where all of a sudden there's no parenting skills there or an ability to empathize. It's actually generationally. So you don't know what you didn't have.
It compounds, right? It just continues.
Yes, exactly right.
All right, so we'll go outside and raise the.
If I may just share from MC CAPC's also perspective, prevention work, it's very important to do prevention work. We do it through training. If every agency here can call us for mandated reporter training, it's more interactive than maybe seeing a simulation online, doing that same presentation, but for families, so that they know they also have a power to report if they see something, even if it's just that they suspect something. We do RAD Kids. We're doing our first one to children 5 and under. And that's empowering the children, not just educating in awareness, but it's also training them. to know to make a Rad Kids plan. If they're in danger, whatever that danger may be, how do they get to the safe zones? And what are those safe zones? So there's many different forms, starting with empowering through education to children, to teens, to parents, and to community members.
Yeah, to that Rad Kids, my son went through that training at Sierra View Elementary, and there was one time my daughter was asleep, my youngest daughter was taking her nap, and my son was out playing. He came back, and my other daughter and I had gone over to take something to the neighbor, a piece of mail, and he came home and there was nobody there, and he freaked out. And as I'm walking in, he's already got his little sister, and he's trying to walk to the neighbor's house because he knew that's where it would be safe. And he learned that from Rad Kids, but he had the wherewithal to, like, not just think of himself, but he thought of his younger sister. He didn't know what had happened. He just knew where to go that would be safe. And then, so that's a great program, and so thank you for being a part of it and putting it on with, I know, probation and.
Yes, we partner with probation. We hope to do more.
Yeah.
One other thing I forgot, well, we represented an organization called RCRC, which is Rural County Representatives of California. They fund out of their proceeds Operation Protect, which is, you're familiar with.
I'm familiar.
And they've covered our entire county in the schools with grade school children, teaching them about trafficking and how not to be a victim, and it's really good stuff.
It's an amazing curriculum
Yeah.
they have for the schools, yes. Thank you for your time.
If anyone wants to join us, you can outside. If not, you can sit tight and. Yeah. Raising the flag.
And we'll be back inside.
7B.
7D.
B.
No,
B as
7B.
in boy.
I'm sorry.
B as in Brett.
7B, Sheriff's Office.
Narcissism, it's good. If you got a microphone, you get to talk about yourself.
Sheriff's Office Board of Supervisors, recognition of Justin, okay, I'm not familiar with these names. Justin Crucky, Sean Antill, Ryan Hansen, Scott Hamilton, Justin Hamilton, and Ryan Ellis by the Sheriff's Department for heroism and going above and beyond to save the lives of fellow citizens.
It's all yours.
I heard another $10 fine going off in the audience, but I
I
won't
know.
turn around and give him the chairman stare.
We're-
So if it's okay with the chairman, I'm going to have Detective Grayson come down and finish sorting these while I read through the narrative of what these gentlemen did, and then we'll have them come down and receive their awards, if that works. Yeah. So- Get the right glasses here, or lack of. So at about 2:45 p.m. on February 9th, the recipients of today's awards, which Rhonda read earlier, Justin Cricky, Sean Anthill, Ryan Hansen, Scott Hamilton, Justin Hamilton, and Ryan Ellis were in their cabin in Bayshore Meadows, which for the folks who haven't been up the hill is quite a ways up the mountain. There was 6 to 8 feet of snow on the ground, not 6 to 8 inches, 6 to 8 feet of snow on the ground and more on its way as it was currently snowing. One of the men saw an adult female walking up to the cabin, and when they contacted her, she told them that her father-in-law and her husband were down and unconscious from carbon monoxide poisoning, and it turned out they were inside of a shed next to their own home where she had come from. These men leapt into action, grabbing their gear, and were out the door within a minute, took on their snowmobiles, and were off to assist. Despite the heavy snow, which caused them to get stuck at least once, the men made it to the storage shed where the people were in need of assistance. The men took it upon themselves to rescue the subjects from the storage shed. So this rescue required the men to lift 2 unconscious subjects 7 feet up to an open snow door, which, if you're not familiar with that, that means that the snow was deep enough that the bottom doors weren't openable. So the folks that were in distress had gone through some up above doors, gone in and dropped down to where the generator was at that had created the issue for them. The men we're recognizing today risked their lives to rescue these individuals from the storage shed. After completing the rescue, the men did not stop there. The men loaded the 3 people in need and began digging out their stuck tracked OHV. After doing so, they began transporting the injured parties the 15 miles down to Bass Lake. So for the folks who don't generally make it up the mountain, they don't really have that'd be like loading them up here and driving them out to the ranchos. So that's quite a little bit of a drive. So the men pulled off a coordinated effort to perform a skilled rescue. One of the men was able to get out in front of the others and alert emergency responders. The men were able to coordinate with a sheriff's office search and rescue team, California Highway Patrol helicopter, CAL FIRE, Madera County Fire, and Sierra Ambulance with what was going on. When the men arrived at Bayshore Meadows and Road 274, sheriff's deputies, SAR team, firefighters, and Sierra Ambulance paramedics were on the scene waiting. One subject was transported down to Batterson, where the CHP helicopter picked them up and was flown to Community Regional Medical Center. The other two victims were taken by ground ambulance to CRMC. The recipients of today's awards then responded back to Bayshore Meadows to help the SAR teams pull the remaining uninjured family members all the way down to Bass Lake. So they went all the way back up to Bayshore Meadows, got the other three family members, came all the way back down to help complete this. So
This is all anywhere from 2 to 8 feet of snow.
actually, 2 to 8 feet. So quite an accomplishment. What I'd like to have now is if, Larry, could you come down and help Grayson with the awards? Larry was out there that day helping coordinate what was going on. Some of the other folks who were out there that day are not able to be here today. They're actually at a meeting out of town. But gentlemen, if I could have you all come down, and I'll probably kill your names like the supervisor did, but if we could have Justin Krucke, Sean Antill, Ryan Hansen, Scott Hamilton, Justin Hamilton. I don't know which one of you is the little Justin, so you'll have to figure that out. And Ryan Ellis, if you could all come down so we can recognize you. Yeah. So just so you know, so we don't have to explain it to everybody, so we have a number of awards here. We have one from the Sheriff's Office, one from the Board of Supervisors, one from, I believe, Frank Bigelow's office on behalf of the Assembly, and then we have one from Cal OES that Sergeant Wilder put them in for. So a lot of hardware. Hopefully people realize how well deserved this is.
And how lucky the victims were. If they wouldn't have been up there that weekend, they probably would have all passed away. So it was completely unbelievable. And Sean Antill here, he was on top when they were trying to hand the guy that was completely out up. And Ryan, oh, it was Ryan, yeah. Oh, that's right. And when they got him up, he was so exhausted that he fell over backwards, and the man fell on top of him, and he couldn't even move. He weighed so much and completely unconscious. So, oh, he's here? Oh, wow. Hey.
Jeff, would you like to say any words?
Come up here. We got a microphone, please. Thank you.
Just, you can't, there's really no words to thank these guys for what they've done. I mean, myself, my wife, my son was in there. My daughter-in-law went and got them. So it's pretty amazing. I do search and rescue for Madera County, but I'm used to being the one that goes help, not the one getting help. So just really appreciate everything they've done, and can't thank them enough. So.
So if any of the family members want to jump out in the aisle and grab a photo of these guys, now's the time. It's perfectly part of the whole setup here, and Kayla will take some photos also. Yeah.
Why don't you get in the middle of them? Come on. Yeah. Show us how you picked him up there, Ryan.
Yeah, we won't go there.
Don't goose him, Sean.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
That's one of those events that you follow closely. I remember getting the updates. We get updates on our phone when something like that happens, fire or whatever. And I was enamored with what was going on with that. It was just, it's incredible when an entire family is saved. Just fantastic. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much.
We can't thank you enough.
All right. 7C.
7C, County Administration Department, Human Resources Operations Division. Presentation of the 2019 Chairman's Culture of Excellence Award for Quarter 1.
So this started out of just seeing how much good was being done in Madera County. Really, the idea for this came about 2 years ago in my head when there was a pipe burst in the back of a home in the Ranchos, and our team was out there and we're fixing it, and they were there until about 1 o'clock in the morning fixing it, would not leave until the job was done. Even Norm Allender was out there. There was a part that was missing, and so we were over knocking on Tom Hurst's door in the middle of the night, who owned the hardware store. It was a little bit like Mayberry RFD, but that was the community. But the neighbors and then the owners of the house where the pipe bursts were had sent me a letter after, just commending them on what a great job they had done and how professional they were, and so it led me to think, like, they should be recognized for things like this. Our staff should be recognized for when they're going above and beyond what they think is just doing their job, but it really is doing the job excellent, and always creating that opportunity, even in a bad situation, to give good service to our constituents. And I wanted them to know that we appreciate that, the things that they're doing. They were away from their family until 1 o'clock in the morning, and they should be recognized, and their families should know that what they're doing is important to us. And so we started this award, the Chairman's Culture of Excellence. For those of you who don't know, our mission statement for the county is creating a countywide culture of excellence through dedicated public service. And that's our focus. We tried to make it easy to remember and just focus on the things that are important. And our vision was always excelling as a trusted local government. And so the applications for these awards said, how do they meet these, the mission, how do they meet the vision, and then show something that has to do with their professionalism, loyalty, accountability, compassion, and excellence. Our core values are creating that place, PLACE. So we broke it into 4 different categories: development services, general government, health and human services, and the sheriff's or public safety. So we're going to do this quarterly to highlight those of our employees that are really excelling and creating that culture of excellence that we're striving for here. I'm going to start with the Health and Human Services out of Behavioral Health, because it's our front office staff, and we all know that without them, nothing runs at Behavioral Health. So we want them to be able to get back to work. But
good morning, Chairman and Board of Supervisors. I want to thank you for the opportunity to publicly acknowledge some of our hardworking staff. Yes, our front desk staff, they're the first person that somebody who enters any of our clinics or calls interacts with. And so I know we can all imagine a time when we've gone somewhere that we've felt a little bit nervous. And so how much difference that makes when someone welcomes you into the environment. And so these staff are an excellent example of the customer service that we're trying to provide the county on a daily basis.
thank you. And do you want to read off the names, or I could? This is our first time doing it, so everybody here is more excellent than I am. That's why I don't do all these things as well. But we'll start. Teresa Grays, Maria Tista Mendoza, Angelique Chavez, Yesenia Guillen, Miriam Gonzalez, Laura Ryan, Maria Alejandre, Rebecca Quiroz, Mary Eves, Beth Villanueva, Monica Solis, and Priscilla Chaides.
Thank
And-
you.
And we'll come down here and present these awards to them. We'll come over here to the middle right here.
Oh, you stay
Yeah,
here?
you just stay here a minute. Okay. Oh, even better.
Testing.
Everyone would go blind from my bald spot. It's getting better. My mom got me a tonic. So next, we'll go to Development Services from Environmental Health. Dexter, if you'd like to come down and.
Come on down.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. First, I'd like to thank Chairman Frazier, HR, Administration, and Matt Schreiber for allowing us to recognize county staff who otherwise would not get the recognition for the hard work they do every day for the county. We are honored to be the first recipient of the Chairman's Culture of Excellence Award for Development Services category. Monica has been with Environmental Health for 7 years and has been on the emergency response team for the last 3.5 years. Richard has Richard's been with us for 3 years and has been on the emergency response team for the last 1.5 years. As an emergency responder for environmental health, you are required to be on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to respond to any hazardous material incidents in Madera County by providing assistance to the public and local and state agencies. Incidents include highway and roadway accidents, drug lab remediation, food facility fires, pesticide incidents, sewage spills, and illegal dumping. I want to thank Monica and Richard for the dedication in helping to protect public health, the environment, and maintain a safe community. Thank you.
She said she wants to do a speech. Oh.
Give her the mic, give her the mic. This girl's everywhere. I see her in and out of everything, I tell you. Does a great job.
That's because everywhere Tom is a disaster.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And next, for Public Safety, our Sheriff's Department. Sheriff?
Now, not to pick on the bald spot, but we picked somebody with good hair for this award. So our awardee that was recommended and selected by the chairman is Sergeant Mark Stritzel. So Mark, if you come on down. So Mark's been with the Sheriff's Office 25 years. He's served in a variety of assignments. He's actually the second most senior sergeant that we have. He's been on the SWAT team for over 20 years. He's served in a number of different capacities there, both as a team leader, assistant team leader, and sniper team leader. He's also on the dive team. He has one of those shifts that attracts the people that want to work and work hard. And part of that is because he's always there to take care of them, not in a coddle them and make them feel all nice and cuddly about themselves, but to help make them do the right things, both to keep themselves safe, to help out the citizens, and to help out the folks on the beats next door to them. He goes above and beyond in pretty much anything he does, and he basically will never do anything that he wouldn't do himself. So if he asks somebody to do something, it's probably because he's too busy to do it. I mean, he's even the guy that if he finds a trash dump in the county, he'll dig through it and find the address and then go pay a visit to the folks that left that gift on the side of the road and advise them that they need to come remove their gift, or we might send them some paper. So Mark is a pleasure to supervise, and I know that the folks on his shift really enjoy working with him. So our nominee and our awardee this quarter is Mark Stritzel.
Just on Dave.
All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Appreciate it. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And so, you know, this was not easy to go through and pick out from all the great people that were nominated for these things. But you know, if it's an award, there sometimes has to be winners and losers, and not everyone gets a trophy. I guess everyone talks about that nowadays. So we'll go now to our general government and out of the assessor's office for the agricultural commercial appraisal team members. Mr. Savanda.
Chairman Frazier, members of the board, I'd like to thank you for this recognition of the employees in our department. First of all, I would like to say that we're very proud of every one of the employees in the assessor's office. But these five and their supervisor, I think, deserve special recognition. What happened was they work in the income division, which is the most difficult kinds of appraisal work that we do. It includes shopping centers, large factories, multifamily housing developments. Yeah, all the tough stuff. And it got way behind back in 8-9 when we had the collapse of the retail value of the housing market, because most of our tax roll is our residential properties, and we devoted all of our people to helping those folks adjust the values to the proper levels. So for 9 years, that end of our department operated behind the schedule. Yet these five people, when asked, took on the challenge. They not only completed about 1,200 additional appraisals, they did it while doing the 1,000 that they were originally assigned. And they did this in a 4-month period of time, so that on completion of our tax roll for this year, their entire division is caught up, current, and they did that without adding one dispute to the values that they determined for all of those properties. So I think we need to recognize that as an outstanding job. Again, we're proud of everyone, but these five in particular. Do you have the names?
I do.
Let me make one caveat here. One of the 5 will not be receiving this morning. Her name is Elia Gutierrez, and she has a very valid reason. She had a son, the 3rd in her family, last Friday, but during all the pregnancy, she was right in the middle of this, producing along with the other 4 that are here, along with the supervisor. So I will take Elia's and make sure she gets that. The others are here to receive their recognition. Sure.
It's Melissa Hinesley. I'll help you with it. The easy was Hilton.
Yeah. Come on up.
Why don't the rest of you start coming on up so we can kind of help speed up? Great job.
Jorge Torres. Philip Clemson. Brian Glover.
Brian is our supervisor of the department.
Jessica Brown.
Jessica has a long history in our department. Her father was our chief appraiser for many, many years and served for the county, I think, in a capacity with our department for over 25? 28 years. So she comes from good stuff.
Thank you. You guys have done anything.
We'd like to shake hands.
All right, that's good. And so I'd also like to have a very special thank you to Adrian Caleb for helping with this. And of course, Melissa Da Silva, who was up last night, even putting together the awards. Thank you for always being excellent.
This is something I want to thank our chairman, Frazier, for doing this. When I got on the air board, they have a Star Awards. They do this every quarter. And I thought we should always do this, and we talked about it at our retreat every year, our workshop. And Brett came up with it, so thank you, Brett, very much for doing this and taking the lead on it. And we need to acknowledge how great our staff is in Madera County, because we got the best there is. So
We really do. All right, so now we can take the consent calendar. Tom, what were your ones? And then we'll get you guys out of here too. We just need to get the department heads out.
B, E, F, H, and J. B, this was, we got the grant in September, was awarded in 2017. I just don't understand why it took so long to get this going now.
Matt Treber, Community Economic Development. Very good question, Supervisor Wheeler. The state, through working with them, takes quite a bit of time. We were actually awarded the grant late last year, 2018. It was a 2017 grant. They awarded it
Just a year later?
Yes.
Wow.
September, October timeframe is when they were awarded. Then we went into a bidding process, RFQ, RFP, to select the consultant and prepare the contracts and get the state to sign off on that, and that's why we're before you today.
Okay.
We do have 2.5 years for expense of the funds, so we do have significant
From that
amount of
date,
time.
last year or from now?
from now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in good shape then. And then on E, it's the filing of the notice of completion of the public works contract with the Road 800 Raymond. I just wanted to thank you. I thought it don't say it in it, but I thought it came under budget and like a week or two before the timeline, so.
Yeah, good morning, Supervisor Jared with Public Works. It did come under the original budget, the estimate that we were given by American Paving. I think it was around $360,000 is what they estimated, but they were able to work quicker. We were able to, our crews worked with them to get them materials and things to help speed up the process and limit the cost. So we were able to come in just under $200,000 for it. And it took them about 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank them and thank our staff because those people up there on 800, they had to park on one side and get transportation on the other side. Otherwise, they had to go about 2 hours around to get down to Madera or Fresno. So thank you, our road department. Then on F, I just was wondering what happens in the future with that YOBG grant when it runs out. How are we going to come up with this money that we're short on now? I read it a couple times, didn't quite understand how we was going to do that. So.
Yeah. Good morning, Board. Rick Dupree, Probation Department. The YOBG grant we've been getting for over 10 years now. I don't see it ever going away because the California has realized that if you front load money into probation on the juvenile side, it will help reduce it on the back end. Just to give you a little history, California had in the late 90s 11,000 kids in the California Youth Authority. Today they have less than 600 because they front-loaded these programs at the county level. So I don't ever see California taking that money away because if they did, they know what the results will be.
Okay, so it's pretty. When
It's
we're
pretty
transferring 45,000. I just didn't quite understand. So you think it's pretty.
I'm very confident it's safe.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
It's a
thank
great
you.
tie, too.
Thank you, Jerry Garcia.
Yeah. Item H, sorry, bud. How are we going to advertise to get these companies? We've done this before, I thought, and the whole, if you read the whole thing, it's talking about no cost, even the heading on it says that, but next to the last paragraph says annual cost not to exceed $250,000.
Right, good morning, Supervisor Jared with Public Works again. So the process that we're doing here is essentially like a pre-qualification process. We're required to follow a qualification-based selection process for procuring services from right-of-way consultants, architectural, and engineering. So what this is to do is to establish a list of qualified on-call appraisers and right-of-way agents. Right. The actual work that they will do will be dependent on what we have for them to do. But essentially what we can do with this list is we're able to go then actually ask them for proposals, cost proposals for the work that we need done. And that could be around anything from, transportation projects. I know that our administrative services uses some of those services as well on some of those projects that they do. So essentially it's just to get an on-call list in place. The actual cost for the services won't be determined until we have projects or tasks for them to. Yeah, no,
we had a list just before, didn't we?
Correct, yeah. This is basically just updating that list. Okay. Yeah, we have to renew this list every 3 years.
Oh, 3 years.
Under local assistance procedures process through Caltrans for our federal aid projects. Yeah. We have to renew this list every 3 years. So that's why this is coming before you.
Okay, I just don't remember it before, so I just wanted to make sure I knew what.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. And item J. Tracy, how big is this piece of property, and what's the yearly tax bill? I mean, they only owe $1,484.
Well, the people, this is part of our annual tax sale, right?
Right.
And so MID came to us and they said we would be interested in acquiring this piece of property. It's right next to one of their ponding basins.
Right, yeah.
And so they felt that that would be a good fit for their operation. What they have to do then, it has to be already offered one time, which it was. We didn't have any takers. And so now MID can go through the contractual documentation and resolution to acquire it. They still have to pay the minimum bid, which is I don't know.
It's
what it was.
$1,484, but is that how much
Yeah.
tax they owe on it? I thought that we sold for
They
what?
owe taxes of about $1,300. The people that we couldn't get a hold of, Juan Fulgar in Hawthorne, California,
Yeah.
they owe about $1,300 for the taxes, representing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah, it
And
said 6 years, but what I don't understand is, it must not be very big if that, is it bare land and this?
it's, you're right, it's bare land, it's low value, only 6,200 value, and it's less than a quarter acre,
Oh,
0.21.
it's really small.
It's really small, less than a quarter acre.
Okay, 'cause I couldn't understand, I mean, because they don't explain how much the taxes were, but I thought we always sold this with what the taxes owed were, so.
Yeah, so the
minimum bid.
taxes are a little less than what we're selling it for. We have to recoup our fees and our
Right.
costs and, you know,
So that's
and
why it come up to
publication.
1484.
So it went up a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
And I have to thank my staff too, Jackie and Julia. Julia Pineda, we just hired her as a tax specialist in our office, tax sales specialist. It's a brand-new position that we were able to get last year. Thank you, Eric and Adrian and the board. And we don't do very many Chapter 8s. We really don't. So essentially, we have to go through the entire process that is required by the R&T code
Right.
for one parcel. So it's a lot of work.
Each time you do it, you gotta do
And
one.
and there's a lot of requirements, you know, to meet, for the state controller's office, they have to approve it as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, staff.
All right, are there any
Good luck,
other,
hon.
are there any other supervisors that have any questions, or did you ask them before the meeting? I think we can, maybe just go through all the others. Okay, all right.
That's okay, I'm still not going to.
All right, is there any public comment on this, on consent calendar? See none, I'll call close to public comment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, excuse me.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Poitras? Supervisor Frazier?
Appraiser? Yes.
Passes 5-0.
You vote yes?
All right, now, we're going to move on to 7D.
7D, Board of Supervisors Chairman. Presentation by Keith Burkholz, CEO, Regenerate California Innovations, and Joseph Oldham, CEO, New Vision Aviation, on EV Aviation Ground Regional Network.
Good morning, Chairman Frazier and members of the board. My name is Joseph Oldham. I am the CEO and president of New Vision Aviation, but I'm also the director for the CalSTART San Joaquin Valley Clean Transportation Center. And so I'm here today to talk to you about really the advances in electrification of all of our modes of transportation, but most excitingly about aviation, which is one area that a lot of people have been really not that fully aware of, but we are very aware because in this photograph, or this first slide that you see here, that is the largest concentration of production electric airplanes in the world. And that right now is at Fresno Chandler Executive Airport here in the San Joaquin Valley. And I have had the privilege of being the chief pilot for this project since it started about a year ago after we received the aircraft. And I've been working on this project for well over 3 years to get these aircraft here.
You'll take any up there, dude.
Yes, we will provide demonstration flights if you comply with our weight limits. Electric aircraft do have weight limits. Well, we'll get into that.
Looking at me, this is ridiculous.
I wasn't looking at you. Oh, he was, okay, all right. Yes, actually, I do intermittent fasting, so I can take heavier folks in the aircraft. So we just kind of wanted to go through, and we all know this is basically our current San Joaquin Valley transportation choices. Personal automobiles, transit buses, intercity motor coaches, Amtrak. We do have commercial airline traffic or capabilities, but it is limited, and that is one of our challenges in the United States right now. There is a rapidly growing and very critical pilot shortage, and it's just getting worse. And it's not just in the U.S., this is international. So pilots that we might train here for our airlines actually can find better jobs, oftentimes working for foreign airlines and flying outside the country. So it is a real challenge. There's also a very growing and constant demand for aviation technicians. So these are two job growth areas that are really opportune areas for our residents here in the Valley. And then, of course, we have commercial charter aircraft and then private aircraft. So this is the slide that refers to a video that Boeing put together that really talks about their vision of what the future of integrated transportation looks like. And of course, it involves air transport. That helipad that you see there in the top of that building is actually a representation of what is now being referred to as vertiports. And vertiports are going to be locations where the advanced electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft that are being developed by Boeing, as well as many other companies. There's over 157 different designs for these aircraft being currently developed all around the world, and many of them are flying, and not just on paper. And these aircraft will actually revolutionize how we get around. So EV Aviation Ground Innovations, that's the kind of the phrase that we've put together for a coalition that we're working on developing here in the San Joaquin Valley, leveraging our Sustainable Aviation Project, which is those 4 Pipistrel Alpha electrodes that you saw in the first slide. And we really want to expand the network of electric aircraft charging to facilitate further electric aircraft deployment in the entire 8-county region. The Valley actually is a very great flight training environment. In fact, I like to think it has we have the best weather of any place in the United States for pilot training. And the United States Army Air Corps thought that prior to World War II, because that's where we got a lot of the airports that we have today were actually constructed for the civilian pilot training program starting in the mid-1930s up and through 1940. And those airports are still here today and give us a great opportunity because we already have the infrastructure. And most all of the pilot training that was done for World War II was done here in the San Joaquin Valley. Even squadrons that were going to Europe trained here before they went to Europe, and of course squadrons that were going overseas into the Pacific. So we have this great opportunity to test and validate thin-haul electric commuter airliners and eVTOL operations. Thin-haul electric commuter airliners are a design of an aircraft that is smaller than the commuter aircraft that we have today. But because of the electric propulsion system lowers the cost of operations so that they can carry smaller passenger loads and operate effectively and economically from small airports like the ones here in Madera or the ones in Fresno or the ones anywhere up and down the valley. We have over 25 small commercial use airports in the San Joaquin Valley, and most of them are underutilized. We only have commercial airline traffic from about 3. So you can see we have potentially the opportunity to expand a lot of connectivity to our rural communities. And then, of course, the ultimate goal with this is to create new training and job opportunities and improve zero-emission rural community mobility, because many of these aircraft can operate from very small footprints, especially the eVTOLs. Basically, they can operate like a helicopter. So the project benefits are demonstration of the advanced electric thin-haul commuter aircraft, and these are 2 designs that you see here on the screen. The one on the top is actually the new X-plane that NASA is building currently and beginning operations down at Edwards Air Force Base at the Armstrong Test Center. It has what's referred to as distributed propulsion, where every one of those nodules that you see along the leading edge of the wing, that's actually an electric motor with a prop. And during takeoff, all of those electric motors are active and provide almost enough lift for that aircraft to take off vertically. Then once it's in cruise mode, the props fold back on all of the smaller motors on the leading edge of the wing, and on only the tip motors actually provide power for cruise. Then the aircraft on the bottom is another design of a kind of a similar concept. You can see it has like 6 motors on it, and they're spread out across the wing. Providing the new career opportunities for our residents by connecting them with advanced transportation mobility, and then bringing new air service to the Bay Area and Los Angeles from the San Joaquin Valley. And electric propulsion lowers that cost so that airfare potentially from the Valley to the Bay Area or to Los Angeles would be very, very competitive, not the way it is currently, which is very expensive, and it's almost cheaper for people to drive to LA or drive to the Bay Area in order to catch flights across the country.
All the time.
Yep. And that, of course, increases the congestion on our highways and creates more air pollution. And it just kind of goes on and on. Okay? So we really hope that we can improve this connectivity through this technology. It, of course, would support our regional transportation plans. We've been doing these presentations now to multiple COGs up and down the valley to try to help educate folks about the opportunity with this new technology. And then, as we've been doing with our Sustainable Aviation Project, really showcasing the San Joaquin Valley as a center for innovation to attract future investment and job creation. And I can tell you already that even though this project, that I've been flying these aircraft for about a year, we are being visited by people from all over the world. And I have had folks from companies that I really can't even talk about right now come and spend a lot of time with me flying in these aircraft and learning. So we are attracting that kind of attention, and we have the opportunity to do even more of that. One of the beauties of the San Joaquin Valley is the Federal Aviation Administration, when they issued our airworthiness certificates for the 4 Alpha Electros, we're not really that concerned that we were going to be flying them here in the San Joaquin Valley. There was 2 aircraft that were purchased ahead of us by about 6 months down in Los Angeles, and they wanted to fly them out of Compton. It took almost 9 months for those aircraft to even get their original airworthiness certifications, and the owners of the aircraft cannot fly them from Compton because the FAA is too nervous about that new technology being flying over congested areas. For us, it was a piece of cake. They gave us our airworthiness certificates, and 3 days later, I made our first flight. And so it was really a much simpler thing to do here, and it was because we have the geography. We have our density is not so severe, but yet it's dense enough to provide the opportunities for us to get people into this technology. And for the future, we're looking really at what solar can do to charge up these aircraft so that they can actually be completely zero emission, zero carbon emission. This unit that you see here on the screen is manufactured by a company in San Diego. It's called a Solar Tree. It's actually designed to charge electric transit buses and or cars. And we're actually doing a project in Fresno County with Fresno County Rural Transit to use 2 of these to provide charging for some new electric buses that they're getting for some new service. But the technology is capable of also charging aircraft. And that's the beauty of it. The same power demands that we need for our electric cars and for electric trucks and buses is the same power demand that these aircraft are going to need. And if we begin to make the investments in the infrastructure to support the ground vehicles, and we theoretically can turn our airports into these multimodal zero-emission transportation hubs and innovation centers, which is really, really exciting. And the aircraft manufacturers are thinking about this as well. This is one of the Pipistrel Alpha Electros. This is a prototype aircraft charger that, for many of you that may have seen car chargers, this looks very much similar to a car charger, and that's what it's designed to be. It basically requires the same amount of power as a level 2 car charger and can charge up one of those Alpha Electros in about an hour. So the aircraft actually charges faster than an electric car, which is pretty amazing.
Is that what you have in Fresno?
Yes.
In
Yes.
Okay.
We don't have that particular charger. We have one that is a little bit.
Something like that.
Yeah, they're actually portable, and it allows us to move them around. And we have a network set up of 3 airports. We have Chandler, we have Mendota, and we have Reedley set up with chargers so the aircraft can operate between those 3. And we have brought the 4th portable charger to Madera and flown one of the Electros to Madera. Perfect. And charged it up there and flew it back. And we're intending to make even more flights. And we can fly as far as Chowchilla and back within our current operating limitations from the FAA. So here's a snapshot of a few of the new designs that are out there. Company Sunflyer is building, this is an American company, that is actively moving on building another 2-seat training aircraft, and they've got design on the books for a 4-seat version. It'll fly for 3.5 hours on a charge, which is
Wow.
pretty amazing. The aircraft on the upper right is the Cora eVTOL, being developed by Kitty Hawk, which is owned by Larry Page, one of the founders of Google, which just shows you the level of investment that the private sector is making here. And then down at the bottom is the design for the thin-haul commuter airliner. That's actually being designed by Zunamero, which is jointly supported by Boeing and JetBlue. And their plans are to fly their prototype next year in 2020. So this technology is not that far off. This is an older graphic from NASA that showed kind of what they believe a few years ago was going to be the progression of electrification of aviation. And you can see that, you know, the plans for electrification don't stop with small aircraft. They go all the way up to large commercial airline designs. And these are our current flight operations with the Alpha Electros. You can see Madera Airport is listed on there. I've flown all of these routes multiple times. I've got about 150 hours of flight time total in these aircraft. When we start looking at the opportunities for thin-haul commuter airliners and what that could do in terms of improving connectivity, here's some examples of routes that could easily be covered by some of the designs that are being developed today. You can see this would open up a lot of additional connectivity from many of our communities that don't have air service today to the Bay Area, Los Angeles, the coast, and other locations. And then when you start looking at what eVTOL flight operations can do, because they don't require an airport per se, these aircraft can cover distances of up to 50 nautical miles easily on a charge and can take off vertically and land vertically, which opens up a lot of opportunities for air taxi service, which is what they're designed for, or emergency services, emergency response, and they're a fraction of the cost of a helicopter. Oops. So the objectives that we really have with our work now is to establish a working group in the San Joaquin Valley. Washington State actually already has one, and that's interesting that, of course, they're the home to Boeing, so naturally they would be very interested in this. But in California, we have about 15 companies that are already working on this technology and are developing these aircraft. And so it seems logical that California should also have a working group to figure out how we begin to integrate these aircraft into our transportation system. And then, of course, promote the development of the infrastructure to support them. We would ultimately like to engage the governor's office about this and work on getting state support for demonstration projects, similar to what we see the state supporting in terms of ground transportation with trucks, buses, cars, et cetera. And this is kind of the organizational framework that we've come up with. And at this point, I'm going to ask Mr. Berkhold if he'll get up and kind of talk a little bit about what we see as far as the organizational framework.
Thank you very, very much, Chairman and Board, for allowing us to come today. I think if you boil down everything Joseph just said, this region has a competitive advantage that other regions in the United States don't have to test and validate this new electric aircraft. We have all these underutilized assets called general aviation airports that could become innovation hubs, sites for testing, ways to connect with career technical education. We think that having 10 years or so of this type of testing here in the Valley, if we take advantage of it, gives us a chance to look at the globe as a market. And how do we get electric manufacturing into the Valley? How do we get a number of services and repairs and jobs and certifications into this Valley to take advantage of that? Why can't, if we are the best place to test this aircraft, why shouldn't the San Joaquin Valley be training pilots to fill this 500,000 pilot deficits that's emerging right now across the globe? So it's just really thinking about this as being this rural region. I was born in downtown Fresno. All the advantages we love here, how can we translate those into economic development? And in this new economy that really is about the electrification of all these integrated transportation systems. One of the things we have to do is get, if we can, the governor's office to designate the San Joaquin Valley to be the location for this electric aircraft working group. We need to look at this charging infrastructure and make a real big run at getting that charging infrastructure into all the participating airports. We need to look at a survey, and we think that the State Workforce Development Board or maybe other entities should pay for that survey, and we could coordinate it here in the Valley. Survey all of the electric manufacturers that are motors, propulsion, ancillary equipment, see what kind of job certification, job skills they need, so we can start training to that in the Valley. We're looking at each one of these airports. We've looked at the map. Almost all the general aviation airports in the San Joaquin Valley are either in opportunity zones or adjacent to opportunity zones. This creates an investment opportunity for people to come in and invest in these airports and get tax advantages to do so. So we think there needs to be some amendments to that legislation that was passed in 17, and maybe it happens at the state level, to allow a reduction in the amount of mandatory rehabilitation that's required. Most of that favors new construction. We'd like to see some of the rehabilitation opportunities occur there. 5G infrastructure for telecommunications. That's targeted towards high density, high population areas. We would like to figure out some way to get them targeted to our innovation hubs in our cities. We want to see some amendments to the Department of Labor's requirements with the Workforce Innovation Opportunities Act so that we can actually fund pilot training with WIOA funds. A whole bunch of things to start with, but the idea would be tie the 8 counties together as a regional entity that wants to be successful in taking advantage of this new electrification move to create jobs, economic development, and be part of a new economy in the world. That's the idea, and I think what we want to do, we presented this to MCTC, we're presenting it to Kern County COG on Thursday night, we're running up and down the valley. We're hoping we can create this connection and energy together to get the state's attention to invest in the San Joaquin Valley for these purposes. That's what EV Aviation Ground Innovations is as a coalition, and we hope Madera County will be part of that coalition and help us lead this to new resources coming into our valley for electrification. Thanks.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. They gave this presentation to the Air Board last month, and I thought it'd be great if they come here. And Buddy Mendes told me that they actually funded, what, 100,000 or something to you guys get going one time, Fresno County?
Well, when we had the original grant that acquired the aircraft was a little over $1 million.
Or $1 million,
yeah.
And they helped fund that, so.
Yeah. It was Measure C. Right?
Measure C, it was the New Tech Reserve Fund. We were one of the first projects that came in under their first grant solicitation for advanced transportation technology demonstration.
I think it's a great deal. We got the airport, and they've already got to use the charge station there, so I think it's the future, and it's pretty cool. So, and he also offered to take us for a ride if you ever want to go for a ride on it. Pretty quiet, I guess.
They are. That's one of the advantages of electric propulsion. It's almost silent.
And no chemtrails come out of the back of it. So.
No chemtrails, none.
Oh, we'll put those on those so you can make it.
Yeah, so everyone could get mad about it. All right, Supervisor Rodriguez.
If we decide to participate in your program, how do we go about it?
Well, you know, that's a very good question. Keith and I have been talking about that quite a bit. I think what we'd initially like to see would be some letters of support that we could generate, particularly for the governor's office, to encourage them to establish the a zero-emission or electric aircraft working group. There's a piece of legislation that's working its way through the legislature right now, AB 245, that will establish a new aerospace and aviation commission within the governor's office of business and economic development, and it's focused on retaining and enhancing the aviation industry here in California. We think that the working group could be housed within that organization or under the governor's, under the state's auspices. And it makes perfect sense, because if you think about the fact that we have about 15 companies that are already working on this technology, and some of these companies are not looking at building whole new aircraft. This would not be like the traditional aircraft manufacturing that used to be so prominent in Los Angeles back in the 30s and 40s and 50s. This would be actually retrofit of existing airframes, conversion of those airframes into electric propulsion. In fact, there was just a recent article about a small airline in Washington State in Seattle called Harbor Air that has aircraft that they operate, single engine aircraft that they operate on floats that use gas turbines and older design radial piston engines to provide air transport to the islands around Puget Sound. And they've decided that they're going to try to convert as many of their aircraft as possible to electric propulsion, not only for the environmental benefits that those bring, but mainly for the cost benefits, because an electric motor is so much less expensive to operate than a piston or a turbine engine.
What was that, AB?
AB 245. AB 245. And it is currently working its way through the legislature. We believe that, again, this could be a vehicle, and then we're really organizing this coalition, as Mr. Buchthal said, working with the COGS, and then working through meetings such as this one with boards of supervisors to get the Valley support for basically talking to the state about how to move forward with this.
Well, Ann, thank you for your question. This is one of those unique opportunities to connect workforce, community college, transportation authorities, county boards, et cetera, in really an integrated economic development initiative for the whole valley.
Right.
So we'd hope you would encourage people and institutions in your county to work with us and others so we can kind of connect this and get some grants that allow us to pay for our work together to take advantage of this.
And we're at the tip of the spear.
We are at the
versus just-
very beginning. Yeah.
Are there any other questions, comments? Any public comment on this item? Thank you so much for coming back and doing this presentation, and keep us abreast. If you have any form letters of support,
Yeah, that's what
that
we
would be
need,
helpful. That we could probably get that in front of us pretty quickly.
We will do so.
We will do so.
Thank you so much for the time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll call close to public comment. Looks like we're getting close to the noon. I don't want the people that during their public hearings to have to wait until after lunch. We may just work through lunch. So let's start with 6A.
A, Community Economic Development Department, Planning Division. Hearing to consider an application by Timeless Investments for a letter of public convenience and necessity to obtain a Type 20 off-premise license to allow the sale of beer and wine at a mini-mart. The property is owned by Millennium Acquisitions, LLC, and is located on the northwest corner of Avenue 12, Golden State Boulevard, Madera. The parcel is zoned Commercial Rural Highway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt Traber here before you. So we have a off-premise Type 20 liquor license before the board. The ABC has adopted a moratorium over the county, so that's why you're seeing more and more of these. This is actually an interesting one. It's at the northwest corner of 12 and 99. It's the new Easy Trip Truck Plaza that is under construction right now. The sign should be, it's already got the posts in it, so it's going vertical here very shortly. The census tract does encompass a large chunk of the city of Madera. Actually, ABC permits 9 within this tract. This would be the 9th within that tract, but as I said previously, ABC has adopted a moratorium and therefore requires this action by the board to find it in the best convenience and necessity for the public. Staff does support the project. We're available for any questions you have.
Are there any questions from any supervisor? See none. Any public, this is a public hearing. Is there any members of the public wishing to make comment regarding this? See none. I'll call close to the public hearing. Bring it back to the board.
Move to
for action.
approve.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras? Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
This hasn't come up on there. Oh, that went fast. All right. 6B.
6B, Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division. Hearing to consider the application of Nissan for a rezone to allow for future development. The property is owned by Nissan NIS and is located on the northwest of Highway 152 and southwest Highway 223. The property is zoned Agricultural Rural Exclusive District. The proposed zone is Commercial Rural Highway District. A draft mitigated negative declaration has been prepared concerning the proposed project in compliance with the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act and is available with the initial study for public review at the Madera County Planning Department.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jamie Bax, Deputy Director of Planning. Before you is a rezone number 2017-12. It's just located on the northwest corner of Highway 152 and Robertson Boulevard in Chowchilla. As Rhonda had mentioned, it is a rezone from the ARE 20 zone district back to the commercial rural highway zone district. It was previously zoned commercial in the past, was rezoned to ag, but however, the underlying general plan is commercial, so the proposed zone district will be consistent with that general plan designation. In regards to the CEQA document, there were some items of concern in regards to aesthetics, cultural resources, and transportation. Those have been included in the mitigation measures included in the project. As you can see here, it is community commercial for this parcel and parcels surrounding it, so that doesn't, the zone district, as you can see here, is the agricultural zone district is proposed to be changed to the CRH district, which makes it consistent with that previous slide. This is just a draft site plan. This shows the existing structures on the property. Just a brief analysis. It was rezoned back in 2017. I'm sorry, it was applied for in 2017, but prior to that in 1999, this was subject to a rezone to the ARE 20 zone district, which it is zoned now, to allow for ag operations. The applicant is wanting to move forward and go back to the commercial designation, and if approved, that commercial designation does allow for service stations, motels, and restaurants. On March 5th, the Planning Commission did vote 4-0 in favor with 1 absent to approve the rezone and negative declaration, and staff recommends approval of the rezone 2017-012 and mitigated negative declaration 2018-28. And I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. Open the public comment portion of the public hearing. Are there any members of the public wishing to make public comment? Seeing none, I'll call close the public
To approve.
portion of the hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Yes. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Board.
All right, 6C.
6C, Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division. Hearing to consider a proposal by Omni Financial LLC for a rezone and tentative parcel map which would divide 2 properties into 4 parcels and a remainder. The properties are owned by Omni Financial LLC and are located on the northwest and northeast corners of Avenue 24 and Leslie Lane, Chowchilla. The properties are zoned agricultural rural 5 acres. A draft mitigated negative declaration has been prepared concerning the proposed project in compliance with provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Emily Lane with the Planning Department. This is for project 2018-009, Omni Financial LLC. This project is located on the northwest and northeast corner of the intersection of Avenue 24 and Leslie Lane in Chowchilla. The application is to allow for a parcel map and a rezone from agricultural rural 5 acre to rural residential single family district RRS. In terms of CEQA, the project has gone through a mitigated negative declaration number 2018-024. Specific concerns that were addressed in the initial study include aesthetics, air quality, cultural resources, and recreation. Continuing, the property is zoned AR5, which is shown in green above. The proposal would include that rezone, which would change it to RRS. Looking at the general plan, the property currently has the general plan land use designation of medium density residential. In your packets, there is an exhibit that shows the proposed tentative parcel map. Some of the analysis provided in the staff report includes the creation of the parcel map and The rezone would allow for consistency between the general plan and proposed zone district. On March 5th, the Planning Commission voted 4-0, one absent in favor, recommending approval for project 2018-09, rezone and parcel map and associated mitigated negative declaration. Staff recommends approval for this project, and I'm available for any questions.
Supervisor Wheeler, was this from the last one? Or
No, it's from this
okay.
one. Yeah.
Supervisor Wheeler?
I had some questions on it. I see it, you said it meets the general plan designation for 1 to 2 acre lots. That Leslie Lane, it don't go no place? Just goes up there and.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Leslie Lane.
Leslie Lane?
Yeah.
It just goes up there and. dead
It's a
ends?
cul-de-sac?
Cul-de-sac?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, and that's all orchard now?
Currently, that is a private road. It is not orchard.
Oh, okay.
He's talking about the parcel itself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what?
everything around it
It
is-
is.
This isn't all orchards. Do they have to, it says that they can't use it that, will they have to pull the trees and stuff, or?
What will occur is, it is now ag would not be permitted, the commercial ag operation would not be permitted, so they do
have
not
some
need to.
Backyard trees.
That's correct. They do not need to pull the trees today, but they could not replant, they could not continue any ag operation. So in essence, it's a non-conforming use grandfathered in. Once that use ceases, those trees are end of life, they would not be able to come back in and replant those trees on this piece of property.
Yeah, and I mean, the only good thing about it, maybe these small, it could be some low-income housing, but the other thing is, I really worry about water and sewer on that small of lots. It'd be individual sewer and water, right?
It can be, and oftentimes, if they do come forward, it's looked at on seeing if you couldn't consolidate and have shared well or shared septic, but 1 acre parcels, we have them, a lot, and they do permit their own individual well and their own individual septic. They can meet those setbacks per the state standard and the county standards.
Yeah, it's just, they're just so small, I hate that when they had to put that, I wish there was some kind of sewer system. Is there any way we could put a restriction on it where they couldn't put that second house on there?
That.
The Supreme Court ruled no, but.
Yeah, I
but
would.
Doing something like this, can you do it?
Yeah, I would say no. Our ordinance is clear that it does allow second homes, and the state has consistently come down and asked for reduction and reducing the restrictions on affordable housing complexes. So I would hesitate to move forward on such a condition. I think we could get sideways
Well,
through
The only thing I worry
CDBG.
about is the sewer and water.
Absolutely, and that has to
That's
be.
what I worry about. I don't care, I mean, creating those lots is great for getting some cheaper houses, because that's the only way we're gonna be able to do it, one of the only reasons, but I just really worry about, single, I wish they would have drilled one well and furnished water for all 4 of them, it'd be a lot better, so, personally, so.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, the only problem with the single well would be the fire flows. I think on that it'd be tough to get the fire flows unless they had because they have to comply with the residential requirement of fire sprinklers. That area is largely converting to residential. I mean, it's pretty much
growing out there.
little ranchettes, and the 1 acre will kind of fit that region. Nis could probably testify to that more than I could. He sees that area a lot, but yeah, over in that region, that's all little ranchettes, and this really fits the bill. I think staff's got it right. So.
Yeah, the 5 acre ranchette is going completely by the wayside now. So
Yeah, well, they're
getting down to this
expensive, and then-
density.
Yeah, these will still be usable. I think you're going to get moderate to higher income people probably building in that region.
So, and do they own the rest of the lot that goes into around Leslie Lane? Like, is this going to be subdivided at some point too?
They do own the entirety of the lot as it's configured, is our understanding. And yes, you'll notice that remainder parcel. So it's conceivable that at some point in the future, yes, there could be an action before the board and the planning commission to further divide this. At that time, it would be a subdivision map and
That's
would have.
otherwise it's 4 by 'em, so.
Correct.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions? I don't see any on here. This is a public hearing. Is there any, I'll open the public comment portion of the public hearing.
Yeah, good morning, Chairman and Board. My name is Sid Halterman. I'm the land surveyor in charge of this project here, representing Omni Financial. I just wanted to come up and say a couple words. I appreciate you hearing this today. We've worked with planning to work with the commissions, or with the conditions of approval for this project. The concern about water provision, we have talked about the option of using the existing on-site well and providing a reciprocal easement to provide water to all of them, so there would not be additional wells needed, or possibly maybe one additional well on the other side of Leslie Lane, so you'd have 3 parcels and 2 parcels sort of thing going with that.
Thank you.
So that has been considered. Septic is always a concern. These are, I think the smallest size of parcel that we're providing is 1.25 acres out of this.
It says
so-
1.50.
Whoa, there's a 1.5, okay. I should know this. I drew that darn map and I.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well,
probably-
because 1.50 to 1.79.
Yeah, okay, right. I think the 1.79 is a gross, that includes the Leslie Lane easement area as gross,
Yeah,
but nonetheless,
it's
you understand.
plus or minus, so.
Right. The developer, his concern, or his plan was he wanted to develop these. This is generating some income and some development there. They do own the property directly north of this. That is not part of this application, but they are the owners of it. They are aware that that would have to be a regular subdivision application in the future because of the 4-parcel quartering issues. They did do a development on, I believe it was Thiel Court, which is property to the north of the open land there that was rezoned. So they're aware of kind of the process and the needs of this area should remain consistent with the growth of Chowchilla. Yeah, to the north and also to the northwest there. Yeah, correct. So they own most of that property up there and have developed. So they're aware of the needs for that. And that's generally the overall plan of that development. So they have taken those things into consideration. I know that they're not doing the development themselves of homes. They'll be offering the parcels for sale for individual, the purchasers to design and implement their own homes. But they're looking at, kind of a single family, the rural residential where, you might be able to, you have a couple, like a little family orchard in the back, apple tree, lemon tree, that sort of thing. So that was the plan for it. And so that's basically what I wanted to say about that. If you have any questions about the specifics of the development, I'd be here happy to answer those.
Are there any questions?
Just one more. Is that one well you said they have? It's on the west side of the.
The well currently is on the east side of Leslie Lane.
East side?
Yeah, and it's providing water for the existing residence that's on the parcel there.
It's on there right now.
Yes,
It looked like
exactly.
there was 2 or 3 buildings on there or something.
Yeah, there's a current residence, there's a barn, and a small agricultural outbuilding that will be on that parcel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Are there any other public comments in regards to this item? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public hearing, bring it back to the board for action.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you for making that underwater. That's one of my bigger concerns, so.
All right, so now I'm going to ask the board, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if anybody has any lunch plans that they want, or if they want to work through it. And also for the staff members, if they have any meetings, if not, we'll work through
I've
them.
got 15 minutes I can work.
Oh.
Or maybe 20.
Thanks for giving us all that time.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of depends on the amount of discussion.
finish
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So is everybody okay working
Yeah.
through? All right. 7E.
7E, Board of Supervisors, District Number 3. Discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution approving initial startup cost associated with the development of the Madera Cultural and Performing Arts Center and renovation of the historic library.
Good morning, Nick Salinas, Chief of Staff to Supervisor Poitras. So the item before you pertains to a JPA that we entered back in April of 2018. It consists of us, the City of Madera, and Madera Unified School District. So collectively, we formed the Madera County Arts Authority. So the overall goal of the Arts Authority is to develop the Cultural Arts Center here on Yosemite and also restoring the historical library. So the current request is for $114,000 for 2 years. Today's item, if approved, would provide for $57,000 for year one. Come year two, we can do a progress check-in to see how things are going, and with that, if the board wishes, we can continue to fund the second year. One very important note to make note of is that our funding is contingent upon the funding of the other two entities. So if either or the school district or the city decides not to contribute, our funds become null and void, so we'll not be contributing at that point. The contributions would cover the hiring of a full-time development consultant or project manager, and their goal would be to raise the large capital funding to fund the overall project through completion. All in all, it's a major project that aims to substantially revitalize downtown, and with that, we'd imagine a spark of major business development here in the downtown area, all in effort to make Madera County a better place to live, work, and play. So.
Hey, you got it down, Nick.
So with that, happy to answer any questions unless Supervisor Poitras has anything he might want to add.
No, I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody might have as well.
Supervisor Wheeler, who are you going to ask?
I just wanted to know what account this money is going to come out of. Mr. CAO.
Well, if approved, most likely it will come out of our contingency funds if it needs to be appropriated this fiscal year. If not, it'll be included in next fiscal year's budget. It'll be programmed.
I'm all for this. When we, voted to give that building to the Arts Council, and thank you, Rob, for being on that committee. It's got some pretty powerful people, 5 of you on it. So I just want to make sure we got the money someplace and we budget it for the following year too, if they don't get it done this year. So looking forward to it. I think it'd be great. So
yeah, if it does have to come out of the contingency, we'll just backfill that in next year's budget, right? 114, 57 that go, and 57 go back to the contingency fund. Perfect.
One more question. Have we got any money in those facility fees that covers art or anything like that? What I can't remember the 5 categories.
Yeah, I believe the general government category potentially could qualify, but you'd be competing against other things. Ultimately, I think that's to your board's discretion.
Yeah. Well, even under parks and stuff. I mean, it maybe.
No, that would be for capital expansion.
Oh,
only.
that's right.
Those
Yeah,
dollars would
right.
only
No,
be
you're
used to
right. You're right.
construction.
No, that's right. Can't do it.
All right, Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, I'm sure you're probably already looking at, but the California State Arts Council has a lot of funding available for projects like this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty neat after seeing this morning's grand opening to know that we got that library completed. We're going to move on to the historic library, and then I'm also working on a project for the Courthouse Park renovation. So all in all, it's all aimed to tie together and have a really nice walkway to kind of maybe close off half of G Street and just kind of complete the whole downtown area. So it's pretty exciting seeing just each aspect come together.
And the Hall of Justice will be down there. It'll bring a lot of
very nice.
Yeah.
Reinvigoration. Are there any other questions? Not any members of the public wishing to make a comment at this time? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment portion. Bring it back to the board for action.
Rob.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
I'm going to give it to Max as a second.
Max. Yeah, give it to Max.
Thank you.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Yes. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Good job,
you, Nick.
guys.
Thank you for your leadership, Rob and Max, on that.
Yes.
Yep.
7F.
7F, Board of Supervisors Department. Discussion and consideration for the chairman to sign a letter to the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District on behalf of the Board of Supervisors requesting the reinstatement of funding under the Public Benefit Grant Program, community improvement projects that reduce vehicle use and emissions for San Joaquin Valley projects competing for funding under the State of California's Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Program.
Who's in charge of it?
The Board of Supervisors Department. That's why.
I didn't
Probably
know
for
I
you.
didn't know they had dropped it. We just done our budget. It's going to be coming up. In fact, I was supposed to be on the budget committee, but I was busy the day they done it. So I can even carry the letter and help them do that when we have our budget hearing. So
Everyone okay with it?
yeah.
Yep. Good.
Got a thumbs up? Rob, you good?
Yep.
All right. That's all we need, right? It's kind of
Yep.
just a thumbs up on that one, or do you want to?
That's what we usually do.
Yeah, that's fine then.
Yeah.
We've got enough direction to go forward. That's
Right.
All right, excuse me, 7G. The air quality is so bad, Tom, what are you doing over there?
I don't know.
My goodness.
Trying to get more of those airless airplanes.
Airless airplanes? Airless. I don't know
what
how well they're gonna work.
That's what I told him when they told me
I think
that
those are
day.
called cars, Tom.
He said he'd take me up in one. I said, I'll
rubber
wait
band.
till you get them more developed. Oh, Miss Jeannie.
7G, Water and Natural Resources Department, discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Ludorf and Scalmanini Consulting Engineers in the amount of $1,811,892 for the installation of monitoring wells in the Chowchilla and Madera subbasins for fiscal year 2019 to 2021, and authorize the chairman to sign.
Great.
Real good. All right, good afternoon. I guess I was going to say good morning, but good afternoon, Chairman Frazier and other board members. I'm Jeannie Hubben from the Water and Natural Resources Department. This project came about because we received a grant in December 2018 from Department of Water Resources for $5 million to do our plan for the SIGMA, as well as doing some of the studies and so on. So when I started working here, I put through a RFP to get someone to do this project. And what the project is drilling 14 groundwater monitoring wells, 7 in the Chowchilla Basin and 7 in the Madera Basin. They're going to be placed near severely disadvantaged communities, disadvantaged community areas, either in them or right next to them. Along with these wells, this group will also be doing well planning and permitting, test hole drilling and monitor well installation, well sampling and instrumentation, and monitoring well installation reporting. And this is to test the water levels and water quality in those areas. It's required by DWR for the SIGMA project or plan that we have to write. And getting monitoring wells as opposed to using somebody's well that's already there is much better because it's more scientific. It's a controlled environment, so you're not having to tell somebody, okay, now shut off your well, don't use it for a week. Okay, now you can use it so we can measure things. So by putting these wells in, we can do that. And these are going to be nested wells, by the way. So they'll have 3 casings throughout to measure different things as it goes to the different levels. So after we put out the RFP, we had 4 responses. Once we had the 4 responses, we put together a team, not just the county employees, but we put together a team of a selection committee. So we had someone from DAC, someone from Water District, we had a farmer, and then the county employees to do this. So we had even amount of interest and input. Then we got that down to the top 2. We did interviews of the top 2. They were really close, but we did interviews of the top 2, bringing those same people in that did the score sheets. So we had them write questions, asked all the same questions of everybody. And through that, we picked Ludorf and Scalmanini Consulting Engineers. One last note that's real important in this whole process is that this is all grant funds. So that 1.8 you saw, it's all grant funds. It's 100% reimbursed. So nothing comes out of the general fund. It's all going to go to, out of that $5 million to drill those wells, do that whole process, and then assist us in writing our GSP.
So that is drilling, the cost of drilling the wells. Huh?
Yeah, the 1.8 is for the 14 wells, so 7 and 7.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So.
Yes, and then all of the studies and the monitoring and all of that with that, yes.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
Are there any other questions, Jeannie? No questions. All right, I saw Rob already making his motion on the screen. We'll take it out to the public. Any public comment on this item? So no, call close to public comment.
Make a motion for approval?
Second.
A motion and second, Madam Clerk.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. We can get
Thank you.
started now.
Thank you.
Get her going.
All right, 7H.
7H, Board of Directors, Special District, Public Works Department, Administration Division. Discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution establishing a policy for managing special districts that are no longer financially self-sustaining.
Good afternoon,
Good
Mr. Chairman,
afternoon.
members of the board. Andrea Saldati, Deputy Director with Public Works, and with me,
Phil Toller, Maintenance and Operation, Madera County Public Works.
Right on top of it, Bill.
So before you today is a resolution adopting a policy that puts in place our options as to when districts protest their rate increase. There are 4 viable options. The first of which is if there is a compliance order, we are able to push the rate onto the ratepayers as long as that rate is to mitigate the compliance order. It is only to mitigate the compliance order. It is not to resolve any debt issues that they have. If there is no compliance order in place, then the second option would be to reduce services to what is equal to their revenue. In a cyclical kind of mode, if you do that, you could put yourself into a compliance order. The compliance order, pushing the rate per compliance order has never been tested legally, but the way that the law reads, it does seem as if it is a viable option. It's just never been tested legally. So that we would be the first to do that. Hopefully we would not be. The third would be privatization of a special district. We did have this happen just recently. We have privatized one of our districts. We would go through an RFP process to see if there were any potential buyers and put the district out for sale. The fourth option would be to make the district a self-sustaining district. We would go through a LAFCO process and develop a CSD or some form of their self-governing board so that they would be able to handle their operations themselves. These 4 options have been vetted out, and we believe that these are the best options when a district is no longer financially self-sufficient and able to pay their own way. We have had 5 districts defeat their rate increase, one of which does fall into this category of no longer self-sufficient. So with that, we are here with any questions, if there are any.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, first of all, on page 2, item number 2, we just got to change that word from order then, it should be when, I think. It says there, if there's no compliance order, then services. Is that right?
I do think that the wording is okay in the board letter.
Is it okay?
Yes, I do think so. I think that is correct.
And then the second thing, I got that email yesterday from some people out of MD40. I sent it to you guys yesterday. They really put some, stuff that's not true in that. And I don't know how we're going to educate people, but to do something like this is the best thing that we're going to do right now, that we can take care of these special districts, because they think that we're
hand-tied.
Yeah, I mean, we are right now. We're
In a way,
hog-tied
yeah,
because
we're
they're
hamstrung.
voting no on us, and then we're funding out of my dollars that I don't want out of my pocket going to these private deals. So
Right.
I can't wait to get this passed. How long will it take for it to have taken effect, Scott? Is it 30 days or?
No, it's approved by resolution. It's done effective immediately.
I love it. So it's just, we just really need this for ours to be able to work with these groups to make them realize we're not playing around. So
My question, do you have anything else?
No,
Okay.
that's just.
So obviously, when we did the privatization with the Rolling Hills, they wanted it, but the way that you would phrase that, is there, can we just put it out for sale and say, as the service provider, we can't provide the service based on the funding levels, so we just sell the system without their approval, or do they have to approve the sale of the system as well?
I'll take a quick stab at that. My understanding, Supervisor, is that they are county assets, and your board sets policy if they're not paying their way, and it's the will of the board that would be an option. We could entertain those. We could solicit information and to recoup not only debt, but any assets that we wanted to sell related to the tangible infrastructure.
And if no one wanted to buy them, what ends up happening?
Then we would go to option 4, which would make them a self-governing board.
Yeah, I think the way they got it is kind of covered each step, you know.
So, Supervisor Rogers?
Yeah, I think you did a great job of covering it in the report. And we're really forced into this position. It's not that, we like the direction we have to go, but we cannot use public funds for private systems. That just can't happen. I can't put private money into, or public money into private roads out on MD 21 as much as I'd like to, but I can't do that. And they own the roads, and it's their tax money, their separate tax money that's designated for that area that covers that. And so the same is true of these individuals, just like my system at my home that I have to care for, and recently spent $24,000 drilling a brand new well to take care of. So I do it. Everybody here takes care of their situation if they're on private land and have a well or a septic system. And these private systems have to take care of themselves. They have to pay their way. There's no free ride in this society at all.
They think so.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
There's people that don't pay their bills, they fall way behind. Can you bill it through the property tax?
Yes, we do have a mechanism. Every year, annually, we look at the delinquencies, and for the past fiscal year, it is rolled over onto the property taxes.
They don't pay 5 years to sell the property.
Yes, sir.
That's what we got to do, Max. Yeah.
All right, if there's no other questions, public comment? I'll open that now.
Good afternoon, it's not morning yet. Hey, you took your badge off, what do you think you're doing?
Trying to be good. Bar Colberg, resident of Madera County. 2 questions. Number 1 is the last sentence, partway in, says no longer financially self-sustaining. What period of time frame are you suggesting on that?
We're looking at districts that have county-funded debt. Any county-funded debt.
So 1 day, 5 years, what?
Usually debt is issued annually.
Okay. So if it's not working currently, is the fact that you would rather have the ability to sell it now as opposed to 5 years later when you don't pay it on the assessments for your taxes?
Well,
if they don't pay it,
I think that's individuals.
That's
problem.
individuals.
This is not the whole district, see, we can't do that on that individual property piece if they personally don't do it. But this is like MD 40, they owe $70,000 that we loaned them. They don't want to pay it, the whole thing.
Gotcha. So again, the time frame?
So it's
Because
not
we dribbled on CSA 19 for the water for some period of time.
Right.
So we didn't have this policy in place, this mechanism, and again, you were willing participants in the privatization. This would be if you have debt and the county cannot cover the costs of future debt, and you're going into future debt because due to O&M and don't have a mechanism to pay back the old debt, and then decide that the 218 gets defeated, so we can never recoup that debt and continue, that would make it where it's continuing to go into debt, then that's when this would trigger. So it wouldn't matter if just this first year you started going into debt because of operations and maintenance. I think there would probably be something different if it was in regards to like a repair in 1 year that was outside of that realm, and no one had an opportunity then to do a 218 to pay it back, right?
Yeah, so when we issue debt, obviously every situation is unique. And so if debt is being issued because of a lack of revenue over a period of time for operation and maintenance, or if it's a specific failure where they need a pump replaced and normally they have enough cash flow. Each district and each situation is looked at uniquely. So to automatically say debt issued in 1 year, we would automatically start this process. Again, we have to look at them individually and see if that is actually a true representation of their cash flow, or is it a unique incident?
Yeah, their cash flow could be able to, say, take on $50,000, like one pump a year, but in 1 year, 2 pumps go out, so they catch up on the next one the next year based on cash flow.
Yes, exactly.
Who is it that makes the decision that it's time to pull the plug on it?
Our board.
The board?
Yeah.
Okay, is there going to be anything in writing to that effect?
Well,
I'm just seeing a one sentence that says, discuss, consider adopting a resolution. So when the resolution occurs, I'm just hoping that it's the board that is written into that makes the decision, not staff.
Yeah, we're the board of directors.
Yeah, we would have to vote on that right now, and then the policy and the resolution clears or says that it's the managing special districts that would make that determination, which the Board of Supervisors sits as the special district management board or
Board of Directors.
Board of Directors, yeah.
County Council, just want to confirm, CSAs and MDs are county assets?
That's correct.
Great.
And just a point of clarification, Mr. Chairman, in the resolution, the last provision does say the county director of public works is directed to implement the policy. So I'm not sure how, I guess, what that next step would be.
They have to come to us to
If there's going to be
dispose
ultimate
of the
action,
asset.
if there's going to be a disposal of assets, correct.
Yeah, to sell any asset, it would have to come through us, the Public Works Director.
Ultimately, it's in our hands whether anybody wants it to be or not. It's in our hands.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion, and Supervisor Wheeler.
Yeah, on that letter yesterday, which is one of these deals, has Marty answered these questions?
That, we would have to talk about that at another.
Okay, well, I'm just going to bring it up so that, on this particular one, because I would really like to, can we send,
On that particular one, you would have to
okay,
talk to them
I'll
after.
forget that one, yeah.
Yeah.
What, can we send this out to all the districts now, all the owners and in those districts, this new policy?
We absolutely can, yes.
I think that'd be very important, that every single one knows it, not just if they got a little group that runs them. Every single landowner, in their next bill, it should be in there. This is our new policy, and you better read it.
Okay,
Assuming it
we will
passes,
get it out.
or-
Huh?
Assuming it passes, or there's a motion to bring it before the
I
board?
move that we approve that new resolution.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
All right, now we should send that letter to the people, the special
Yeah.
districts.
You're right, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for the great work, and I can't thank those two on these special districts that they work their tail off to try to help these people, and they just sometimes ignore them. I
Yeah,
mean,
this
you
has
can't
been-
explain it enough for them.
Yeah, this has been something that's needed to happen for a long time, to have the ability to even engage in these discussions, and in the past, we haven't had a policy in place that allowed for
To
those.
back us up.
Discussions. So, hopefully through education, we don't have to lose any of these special districts, but get a better understanding of what it takes to run them and what the laws and rules are. I thank you all for what you do. Bar, thanks for helping on the other side where the public engagement and showing what can be done to right the ship. So, thank you. All right, pending legislation.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Board, Shalaya. Tom Wheeler, Chief of Staff. I have two separate letters of support for two businesses in eastern Madera County that I'd like to get a thumbs up or thumbs down on today. The first one I'm going to talk about is an application for San Joaquin Drug Inc.'s license through the Board of Pharmacy. They're trying to open up a pharmacy in Coarse Gold. Coarse Gold has been without a pharmacy for about a year now, and a lot of the population is elderly, and some of them do not drive, so they have to drive all the way to Oakhurst or farther to get to their pharmacy to fill their prescriptions.
And this new company will deliver.
Yes, and there'll be delivery, and Coarse Gold's lucky enough to have a health and dental center, so having a pharmacy would kind of complete all the services they need to get that in their own town.
And what's good about it too is that Camarena Health, after they closed a year and a half ago, was going to try to open one up, and these people got a hold of them. They got one in Planada, right?
Yeah,
and so they.
So there's in the rural nature.
Right, so they
Yeah.
know what to do out here in the boonies, and they got together Camarena Health and said, hey, let's get this together, and it's just a positive thing, so.
Everyone
Thumbs
good on
up.
that one?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. The second one is for the North Fork Community Development Council's biomass facility, which I know the board is familiar with. They are trying to get a loan from the California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank to complete the infrastructure to get this facility running, and they've had run into some roadblocks, so they're just trying to get this last piece together so they can get it up and running, and this would be good for the county as a whole, but especially in eastern Madera County, especially for jobs up there.
And one thing good about it is that we had the loan all secured, and then when the PG&E declared bankruptcy, they pulled the loan, so they had to go out and find another one, so they're just trying to get letter support so we've got about $8 million in that thing already, so thank you, Shalaya. Thumbs up
Good
again.
for both of those.
Thank you.
I just had one extra on here that I didn't have her think about, because I just saw it last night in my paperwork. If you guys, did you get your letter from the Mono Tribe Rancheria that they got new councilman and councilwoman?
So is this under your supervisor report?
No,
Yeah.
I wanted to write a letter to congratulate them and say we're ready to work with them.
Yep.
If the new council members, so.
Sounds good. All right. So that's it for pending legislation? All right. Everyone okay if we just forgo supervisor staff reports?
It's fine.
All right. Unless there's anything that's legal anyone needs to make a statement on?
Attended the JPA.
Okay. And then Denim Day is April 24th. Everyone wear denim.
At CSAC.
At CSAC when we're there, yes. All right. With that, I'll adjourn the meeting.
You want your address? Thank you, guys.